Alrighty guys, so I just want to formally introduce myself. My name is Sarah Rogers. I am a one-star platinum here with Evolution Archer Travel. I have been with the company for just over a year. I celebrated my year mark just earlier this month. So I will be going ahead and doing the Carnival training with y'all. Today I'm just going to kind of show you the portal, how to play around, how to search inventory, how to produce a quick quote, to show you the difference between the agent view and the customer view. That's very important. And you know how to go ahead and add on things like Shore Excursions and stuff like that. So if y'all have any questions, please feel free to put it in the chat box and do all of that. And I will go ahead and get going, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and get right into it. I just showed y'all that are new, if you're not registered, to go ahead and how to get registered via the Travel Cafe. So once you are registered, in order to get to the Carnival booking page, you're going to go to goccl.com. That's goccl.com. That is the booking portal site for Carnival. I save a lot of these main vendors that I use all the time. I go ahead and I just save it to my favorites to bookmark it. That way I can always find it that way, right? Yes, Joyce, I will try to go ahead and go into group bookings if we have enough time. Definitely. That is a big one. So, and just FYI, I do have a toddler, so if I have to hop off the screen really quick, it's because she's doing something she's not supposed to. So I gave her the iPad though, so we should be good for at least a good hour. So, all right. I'm going to go ahead and sign in. All right. Actually, I want to go ahead and, so when you sign in, you're going to find all of these great little tabs, right? So what is this all and what do you do? Well, if you want to just go ahead and do a booking, you're just going to go over to this tab right here, booking. For each individual room, you know, for a cruise, they call it a stateroom, right? So individual stateroom means individual booking, right? For Carnival Cruise Lines, in order for it to be a group booking, it needs to be 8 or more cabins. If it's not 8 or more cabins, you're gonna go ahead and do an individual stateroom reservation, okay? You're only gonna do a group booking if it's 8 or more cabins, all right? So that's how you go into create a booking. Now, if you have a booking already made, you're going to go in here to manage a booking. Again, individual or group room, group staterooms, you can go ahead and pull it up like this. Okay, and then also too, guys, if a client has ever been on a Carnival cruise, they have a VIFP number, okay? You can go ahead and look it up. I've had plenty of clients who, you know, they don't remember, they're not sure, they don't know. If they've ever been on a cruise, Carnival cruise, they have this number. So you can go ahead and actually look them up to see what offers they're eligible for. And you can use that to help with your booking, right? So
would you have that VIPF number if you were a child when you cruised?
I would assume so. It should be attached to you. Like if they were like 17 and now they're like 20 or something like that.
I don't know. I went on one when I was in middle school, so I was like, maybe I have one.
You know, that's a very good question. I don't know if they assign it to minors, although I think they do. I've never looked into that. So yes, it would be under your name if the same. Yeah, okay, so there you go. Yes, the answer is yes. Okay, so what else do you have in this wonderful portal, right? So we have training. If you want to go ahead and get your certification with Carnival Cruise Line, you can hit the learn and earn, and it'll take you through a series of visual modules. Once you complete them all, you earn your certificate with Carnival Cruise Lines, right? So what else is here? Marketing tools, marketing collateral library, flyers, right? You can create flyers, you can create e-brochures, trade ads, web banners, right? All of this marketing stuff, agent photos, agent videos, everything here you can use to go ahead and market straight from Carnival. So how awesome is that? Just like I always talk about the Disney marketing collateral library, same thing with Carnival and a lot of the other cruise lines and other vendors as well. You can get marketing collateral for free straight through our vendors. So when you're creating your So when you're creating your flyers and stuff, how professional is it to just have all of that Carnival branding there, right? And then you don't have to worry about copyright and stuff issues because it's stuff that you're creating through their marketing library. So let me go ahead and make sure I got everybody in. Alrighty. So does that make sense to everybody so far? Okay, so I am going to go ahead and show you guys kind of how to play around with the booking portal, how to look up cruises, some sailings, and then how to get into actually booking. And I'm also going to go into some of the rate codes and what it means, because I know when I first started and I saw that rate code page, I was like, holy heck, what does that all mean, right? So I will go ahead and pull up. So again, when you want to search inventory or you want to just look up a quote for a client, you can go ahead and hit here, bookings and individual stateroom, okay? So, and guys, don't ever be afraid to play with the vendor booking portal like this. This is how I taught myself. So you don't be scared that, oh my God, am I going to accidentally book something? You cannot book anything without having credit card information entered and processed. So don't worry about it. Even if you hold a room for 24 to 48 hours, it's okay. As long as you don't have the credit card information, it'll just release itself automatically. There's nothing that you need to do. So don't be scared to play around. It's okay. Nothing will happen. You won't accidentally book something. You're not going to owe any money. None of that's going to happen. It's just a way for you to get to know the vendor, right? So, okay. So you see here we have 5 different fields, right, to choose from. So typically when I'm on the phone with the client, I'm asking them when they want to go, what port they want to leave out of. So there are some cruise lingo that you just got to kind of get to know. And port just means the place of which the boat leaves from. So with cruises, there's always a couple of main ports throughout like the United States. For example, there's our ports out here in Long Beach, California, San Diego, California, Galveston has a port, Galveston, Texas, Miami, Florida has a port, and then there's a couple up along the East Coast, right? So not every state's gonna have a port, so just be mindful of that when you're talking to a client. You know, you're gonna kind of want to get to know where are they now. It might be easier to do, you know, a sailing based off where they're geographically located. You know, if you got somebody on the West Coast that's wanting to do a Caribbean cruise, just be mindful of that geographical location. And guys, Google is my best friend. I don't know a lot of the stuff. I just Google to find out, right? So the Caribbean, right, is going to be towards the Gulf, right? You're leaving the Caribbean's from closer to Florida. So it might be easier to fly your client out to Florida and get them to that Caribbean cruise, right? Or if they're on the West Coast and they're like, I don't know, I just kind of want to go on a cruise, I don't know. Well, then it might be easier just to put them on a West Coast cruise, right? The ports out of Long Beach and maybe San Diego, those typically tend to be Mexico cruises, Alaskan cruises, Hawaii cruises, right? Just everything that's kind of over there in that geographical location. So just kind of keep that in mind when you're playing around and you're talking to your clients. It's always really good to know those geographical locations. And like I said, Google your heart out. It is your best friend. I use Google all the time. I don't know everything, but Google does. And I know everything because Google knows everything. Okay. So with that being said, when you're in here, let's say your client's like, okay, well, I know that I want to sail sometime next year in maybe June, right? Okay. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna hit June. Are there any documents showing us the ports where Carnival leaves? April. If you're in here and you go depart from, see, these are all the ports of which Carnival has right here. So you got all your domestic ports, right? So Florida, Long Beach, Virginia, and then you have your international. So Vancouver, Canada, Puerto Rico, Barbados, Sydney, Australia, all of that. Let's see. Okay, so does that make sense? yes, yes. Okay, so my date was in June, and let's see, I'm over here on the West Coast, so I'm gonna see if I can pick something that leaves out of Long Beach, right? So I want to depart from Long Beach. Put in Marlene, and then it's, you can either do sail to, right? So it automatically, the great thing about Carnival, it will narrow stuff down from you. So if you have a client that wants to sail in June and they want to leave specifically from Long Beach, you already know that their only option is going to be Mexico. How great is that? So you don't have to worry about misleading them or mistelling them information. Right off the bat, you're going to be like, okay, no problem. Looks like the destination that you're probably going to go to is Mexico with using Carnival Cruise Lines, right? So Mexico, and then they have 3 ships. So Carnival Panorama is their brand new ship. It's super huge, and the inspiration and the imagination are their smaller boats. Typically, these two do 3 to 4 day cruises, and Carnival Panorama are going to do the longer cruise lines. So you can actually also narrow it down by duration, right? So does your client want to do a 3 to 4 day cruise, maybe a week cruise, a 10-day cruise? Let's say my client wants a 6 to 9 day cruise, right? So I'm just going to hit that. Then when I go to the ship, see how it automatically took those other 2 choices out for me? Where do you learn more about the ships? Kristen, when you do your training with Carnival, they will go ahead and talk about all the different cruise ships that they have and which cruise boat leaves from what port, right? So for example, the Panorama for Carnival only leaves out of Long Beach. It is a West Coast port. It's a West Coast boat, if that makes sense, right? So for those that have done Carnival before, and maybe you're more familiar with the Florida port, then you might be more familiar with the Florida boats that sail out of that area. For me, like I said, I'm West Coast, so I just happen to know a little bit more about the 3 boats that leave out of Long Beach. And you guys, it takes time to learn this stuff. Like I said, I've been doing this business for a year. Please don't think that you're brand new and you don't know this stuff. Oh my God, no. It takes time. Allow yourself the grace to learn things. Allow yourself the ability to go in and just play around with stuff and get familiar, right? It can only help you grow. So I always encourage that. And sorry, I like to snack a lot, so. So first you need to pick depart from then sail to. Norma, you can do this in any order. You can do these 5 things in any order. So for example, let's say your client knew they only wanted to do a 2 to 5 day cruise. So you can go in here and narrow it down from there, right? Then you can narrow it down from dates. You can do it in any order you want to. It doesn't have to be anything specific. So I hope that answers that. The qualifiers, they are not U.S. residents. I don't understand that question, pal. The qualifiers 55 plus, no matter.
Yeah, for example, I was checking that you have guest qualifiers that it's seniors.
Mm-hmm.
If they are not U.S. residents, you can put that in Mexico, for example.
Yeah.
Or it's just for U.S. residents.
It should be fine. Whatever they qualify for, it shouldn't matter because they're international and they leave from different ports, right? So you're good.
Okay, and sorry, and you know if Mexico can book directly here in this portal?
Mexico should be able to book. So I am, in case you didn't know, I am your 1-star platinum for the Mexico team. You're with Kathy Mirando, and she's Team Endeavors, which is inside of Fantastic Voyagers. So I do work very closely with Kathy on trying to get vendors and stuff for Mexico until we get an office down there. So per Ron Archer, Carnival should be able to allow you to book Mexico. So if you find that you're having issues, please let me know. We're also working with Jose Lambert and Carnival to try to get you guys a specific training specifically in Spanish as well. So we're working on stuff for you guys down there. We want to make sure that you guys have all the opportunities as much as possible. So
thank you so much.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so I have narrowed this down pretty good. So I'm going to go ahead and search sailings. And guys, if you have questions while I'm doing stuff, please put it in the chat, unmute yourself. You know, I encourage all questions. No question is a dumb question. If you don't ask, you don't know. And take it from me, I'm somebody that when I started the business, I had 1,000 questions every day. And I feel like sometimes I still have those days where I have 1,000 questions, and that's good because that's how you learn, by asking. So don't be discouraged, okay? So you're gonna see it's gonna give me all the available sailings for all the qualifiers that I selected, right? So I have 4 available sailings, okay? And just so you know, it's automatically gonna put it at double occupancy. Double occupancy means 2 people in the cabin. So if you have more people in the cabin, you're gonna go right here to the left-hand side and you're just gonna add people or decrease, right? And then once you're done, you're just gonna hit apply filter. I'm just gonna do it for 2, so I don't have to do any of that, right? And okay, so this is a great way. Let's say your client's like, I want to leave sometime in June. I'm pretty flexible. I just want to get the best pricing. Okay, so I've already pulled everything that they're looking for. There's 4 sailings, and it's giving me baseline starter points for pricing, right? So based off what I'm looking at, the lowest, and guys, I always like to use the word lowest. I never like to use the word cheap, because cheap to me equals cheap commission, cheap travel agent, and we're none of the above, right? So we provide quality service. So I like to use the word low. All cabins are for 2 persons only. No, the cabins can go up to 4 people. But when you're pulling the quote, it automatically defaults to 2 people. So if you need a quote for 4 people, you just go ahead and click 4 and apply the filters, and then it'll change these rates. So for example, right, I'm gonna apply it just to show you. So see how it changed the rates, right? Because it's gonna change the rates based on occupancy, meaning based on the number of people in the stateroom. So if I'm in Florida and want to go to Mexico, I should depart from Long Island. Yes, yes, exactly, Norma, because you got to think of it, the geographical location. So if you were in Florida and if you wanted to go to, depends on what side of Mexico you want to go to, right? Because there's a Gulf side of Mexico, but if you wanted to hit the Pacific side of Mexico, think of it, the cruise would have to go all the way around the other side to hit the other ocean, right? So you definitely would want to hit, like if you wanted to do like Puerto Vallarta and those kind of Mexico locations, you definitely want to fly your customer out to the West Coast and then book it from there accordingly. So, and believe me, oh, Marlene says it can go up to 5 with the trundle bed. Thank you. Marlene actually books a ton of cruises, so I'm going to take Marlene's pointers. So thank you so much. So if the price is shown for a total for the 4 persons in this case, yes, I'll show you the price breakdown. This is right here. This right here, this pricing, it's average per person. So this is the starting price advertised per person. So $729 per person, right? So that means $729 times 4, right? And I'll show you where you can get more of the details, right? So okay, it looks like the lowest cruise is going to be the one leaving on Saturday, June the 5th, 2021. And I'm gonna go ahead, also too, if you guys wanna check the itinerary, if you click here, all I did was click 7-day Mexican Riviera. It shows you exactly where this boat's going to. So they depart from Long Beach, they're gonna hit Cabo San Lucas, Mazatlan, Puerto Vallarta, 2 days fun at sea, and then they're gonna go back home to Long Beach, right? So just FYI, and it tells you how long they arrive at the port and when they arrive. So typically when they port into a location, they're there for the full amount of day. That gives enough time for the people to hop off, do some shore excursions, and get back on the boat, right? So just FYI. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead and select this sailing. Yes. Okay, sorry, just checking my emails. Okay, so now you see there's different rate codes, and this is for me personally, right? And please, if y'all have gone here and you're like, what the heck, put it in the chat box. Put, I don't know, what the heck in the chat box, because this can get really overwhelming, right? You go to this page and you're like, oh my God, what does this all mean, right? Did anyone else have that feeling when they first logged into this page? You're like, what the heck is going on, right? What the heck, yes. Exactly, right? So Clement says, are the travelers free to come as they go? I'll hit Shore Excursions later when we get on. But yeah, when I first hit this page, I'm like, what do you mean? What are all these rate codes? What do they mean? Why are there 7 different prices for one cruise for one kind of room, right? What the heck is going on? Well, all these rate codes have different promotions that are built into the price, right? So, for example, and if you guys do the Carnival training, they also go more in depth as to what each rate code entails. I definitely suggest taking notes during that so you can make yourself a little bit of a cheat sheet, right? But if you're new and you haven't done the training, no worries. When you get here, if you click this See Detail button, it'll tell you exactly what that rate includes, right? So, for example, this has a non-refundable deposit of $50 per person, right? Let's see, and then it just talks about a little bit of the things. So, and it also would cost $50 per person if the client wanted to change their ship and or sail date, right, before their final payment. Guests may reprice booking if a lower cruise rate is offered to the public based on the total room occupancy. So that means they have a little bit of a price protection, right? Let's say we book them right now at this rate, the $764 for the ocean view, their category room, all of that, right? And let's say 2 weeks later, Carnival has a sale and it ends up being a lower rate. Well, you can call Carnival and they can go ahead and price match that for you if you use this rate code, right? Again, every rate code has a different have a different set of parameters. And what they'll do is they'll give the guests the difference in onboard credit to spend. So that's why it's kind of good to kind of learn what each promo has. And based on what your client's looking for, you may find that, you know, some of the stuff they're like, oh, I know my client doesn't care about that. Or my client really wants a price protection. Well, then this rate code might be a really good thing for them, right? Okay, so it tells you when it's applicable, meaning that as it's applicable through sailings through 2023. So it's a promotion that's not going to go away anytime soon, right? Okay, so let's see. Then you have somebody like, okay, so I saw this price, right? And then I scrolled down to the bottom, and I'm like, how the heck does it go from $802 to $1914 for the same cruise, right? Well, if you look at this, oh, of course it doesn't say anything, right? So I know, for example, tariff, they include a lot of upgrades in that price point. So for example, clients are getting upgraded to different category rooms, to different room types, stuff like that. So therefore, right, they account for it somehow, and that's building in the price differently at the very beginning, right? Early saver, reduced deposit, and OBC. OBC in cruise world means onboard credit. Anytime you see the word, the abbreviations OBC, that's going to mean onboard credit. Okay, guys? Let me make sure I'm not missing anything in the chat. What the heck? Yeah. I'm glad, like, I'm not the only one who felt overwhelmed. So thank you. All right. So again, when you see the details for this, OBC credit and deposit are non-transferable and non-refundable, okay? OBC credit may not be applied for cruise fare, taxes, fees, or port expenses. This is backed by a unique price protection policy. Okay, so you see how every rate code has a little bit different details, right? So it's just really good to go ahead and, you know, take note of you know, what every rate code has and the differences in them. Reduced deposit means the deposit is reduced. So sometimes, for example, when you do a sailing, you might need $100 deposit per person, right? So this means that they're going to get a more reduced deposit. So they might get a $50 reduced deposit. So they might have to do $50 per person versus $100 per person, right? So that's a good question. Cruise lingo has a little bit different lingo than like land travel, so it's good to know the differences, right? Okay, so let me see a question. Carnival.
Is there one that you think is the best deal?
Yeah, typically I like to do the early saver, reduced deposit, and onboard credit. It's pretty much the same as early saver, except they get I believe it's $25 onboard credit per room. So let me see what it says. Yeah, it doesn't say here. So so I just like that because it's an extra, you know, it's a nice benefit, right? So when you look up this rate code, it's the same as early saver, except here they're going to get a little bit of onboard credit. So it's a little bit extra value, right? Which is always nice. You always want to find ways to bring value to your clients, right? Does the OBC tell you how much the credit is? Yes, it does. And I'll show you where it shows that in the quick quote, so you know exactly how much they're going to get. Does a client always have to do deposits if they wanted to pay one time? That's a really good question. So they can pay for it all in full, or they can pay with a deposit and then have a final due date. Now, cruises must be paid for in full 90 days before the sale date. I think right now, because of COVID, they may have laxed that to 60 days, but typically it's always 90 days before the sale date. They want that cruise paid for in full. So that's why, guys, cruises are really great to advertise, even if it's a long time away, because you allow your client the opportunity to kind of break up those payments, right? So that way they're not spending $1,000 today to book with you. They may only be spending, you know, if it's 2 people, $100 to book the cruise with you, right? What does the rate code abbreviation mean? So they all mean different things. Oh, you're talking about the PB4, OF, OHF, or is that what you're talking about? So that's just, yeah, so that's just like the rate code. Like if you were calling into Carnival, instead of saying sale, see you soon, savings, you're just going to say PB4. It's typically just how they input it in their computers, right? Because, you know, when you're doing massive bookings and stuff like that for their purposes, everything's always, you know, down to a code. So that's just their code for that sailing. It's more of an internal thing than it is for anything else, if that makes sense. Okay. Any more questions on this page? What happens if they don't pay in full by the 90 days? How can you tell which cabin suites are the best if the client always gets seasick? This happened to my daughter. That's why I asked. Laugh out loud. Okay, so let's address the two questions. Cynthia, we will go into that once we get towards the end when I'm talking about the quote and collecting payment and all that. That's a really good question. To address Elizabeth's a question, how could you tell what cabin suites are the best? So if a client is prone to getting seasick, and or maybe it's their first time on the cruise and they don't know if they're going to get seasick, I like to place my clients mid-deck, meaning mid part of the boat, right? So they're not on either sides. They're going to be in the mid part of the boat, and then mid-deck, mid-boat, right? Is that what I say? So they're kind of in the middle of the boat, in the middle. So they're in the middle horizontally, and they're in their middle vertically. So that typically tends to be the most stablest part of the boat. I don't know if that's the word, stablest, but the most stable part of the boat, that when you get, you know, it's more sturdy that way. So that way they're not feeling the swaying motion so much. Like if you think about it, if you're on the edge, like if you're in the front of the boat, you know, where the waves are breaking on the boat, it might rock it a little bit more. So, and again, it's not like if you haven't been on a cruise, it's not like you're going to get like crazy swaying, right? But still, some people are seasick sensitive. So that's where you want to place them, mid-deck, mid-boat. And press deck and Lido are excellent, yes. So are the prices we see the same as they see directly on the Carnival site? Yes, it's the same thing. The difference is Ours has built-in commission into it, because here's the thing, guys. Whether a client's going to book directly through Carnival or through you, guess what? The person they call on the phone, that's a travel agent that they're talking to, right? They're getting paid the commission off of that. So they're supporting a small business when they go through you. Sorry, I didn't catch what OBC is. OBC is on board credit, meaning that the cruise line is giving them credit to spend on the boat. It's kind of like the equivalent to a resort credit for land travel, right? All right. So we're going to go ahead and move on. You guys got a lot of good questions. I love it. So I'm going to click early saver and reduce deposit in OBC, right? So typically, oh, what's upper and lower? Somebody had that question. Those are not so great places in the boat. They're typically, they're interior rooms, so they're kind of the same as interior rooms, except they're in like really bad parts of the boat. So you definitely don't want to put like a first-time cruiser there. If you have a client that's like been a cruiser before and they're like, I don't care, I just want the lowest room, and they're okay with that, then that's cool. But I personally don't like to book anything less than an interior room or above, right? Yeah. If we have an upgrade available, we have to call Carnival, or can we make it in the page? That was an extra cost. When you make the booking, there's a way for you to go in and upgrade, right? So you can do it on the page. And if you don't know how to, call Carnival. When I first started doing Carnival, I did a lot of phone calls to them. They're really great. If you call and get a quote from Carnival as a travel agent, or book something over the phone with them as a travel agent, you're still going to get your commission. So if you have like a ton of questions, it's your first booking, you kind of want to make sure that you're doing it right. Feel free to call Carnival, their travel agent line, and you know, they will go ahead and walk you through that booking, and then they just email all the information to you. So okay, let's see. Okay, so I'm gonna go ahead, I'm just gonna hit the ocean view, right? And then you see here the red button popped up. So I'm just gonna hit continue. Okay, now you thought you got confused on the last page. Did anybody say what the heck on this page too? What does this mean? I did. Did anybody else feel like that too? Say me, me, me. Yeah, go ahead, draw. Me, yeah, exactly, right? Kristen, if you call into the main Carnival number, it'll actually prompt to say, it'll ask you like, press 2 if you're a travel agent, and then it'll take you to that direction. So yeah, guys, I got like super confused. So it's okay. This is why we're doing this training, right? To help walk you through this, right? So what does this mean? So, you know, this is like, how do I explain it? So, okay, let's compare this a little bit to land travel, right? So let's say you're booking somebody in Hawaii, and they want an ocean view room, right? Well, you go to book the room, and it's a partial ocean view or a full ocean view, right? Technically, they're both considered ocean view rooms, but one's a higher category, if that makes sense. And it's going to be a higher price point, if that makes sense, right? So that's kind of the same thing, right? So the lower price points within the same category typically are going to be the lowest quality of that type of room, so it's set at a lower price point. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes, no, maybe so. No, can you repeat? Yes, I will repeat it. So it's kind of like the equivalent to land travel, right? So let's say I'm booking somebody a resort, and they tell me that they want ocean view. Well, when I go to hit ocean view on the reserve page, typically what pops up is a partial ocean view and a full ocean view. technically they're in the same ocean view category, but they're two different rates, right? The partial ocean view is going to be a little bit lower. The full ocean view is going to cost the client a little bit more. This is kind of like the same thing, but in cruise terms, right? So you have, or you can get, you know, like maybe you have an ocean view that's in the corner, so you're kind of looking the ocean view, or versus ocean view of the resort where you're dead on and you're looking right at the ocean view. You know what I mean? So it's gonna, different quality of rooms cost more. Same thing. So yes, all ocean view rooms have a window. They do not have a balcony. Ocean view rooms have a window, typically like a circle, maybe two. I think the deluxe ocean views have 2 windows. Hold on one sec. Let me grab something from my dog. So I'm almost done, lovies. Okay. Yeah, so it's the 6M category has also, that means they will be random. The random means there will be a random the room assignment. So again, that also depends on the rate quote that you selected the page earlier. Some of those different rate quotes, right? Some of those different rates, so that's the early saver or, you know, tariff rate. Some of them allow you to pick the category, which would be this, right? But they don't allow you to pick the individual state room. So room 437, right? They will assign the room to the client upon arrival. So those are some of the differences in those rate codes offered earlier, which is why it's always good to read them. If your client doesn't care, I'm like, oh yeah, don't worry about it. They'll just give me, you know, maybe they're a cruiser before, they don't really care where they're on the boat, as long as they have an ocean view room, right? As long as they have the window. So they may want the rate code that just assigns them the category, and then they get to assign the actual room number at the time they get and they check in. So is there a balcony on all the staterooms? There are 4 different kinds of staterooms typically. For the most part, there are the interior, which means there's no windows. It's just a regular kind of basic room. There are an ocean view that has, do you want a cookie? What? Do you want a cookie? Hold on, let me give her something. Tie her over. All right, single mom life, sorry guys. Okay, so there's 4 types of rooms, right? Typically the interior, which is a basic inside room, it will not have any windows. The ocean view, which is pretty much the same as an as an interior room, except it's going to have a window, right? Ocean rooms too, when you get a deluxe ocean view, they are a little bit bigger sometimes in square footage. A balcony is going to have an actual balcony, meaning they have, you know, a sliding door where you can open it and physically go out to a balcony, which is really nice for people that kind of maybe want some little bit of privacy. And, you know, like how cool is that you get to be on a cruise ship and get to go outside on the balcony and maybe enjoy your morning coffee that way, overlooking the ocean. That's so awesome, right?
Sarah, do you know if they're smokers? Can they smoke on their own balcony?
I do not believe so, no. And
Okay.
Marlene may be able to answer that. Marlene may know that, but I don't believe so, no. And then there's a suite. So a suite's going to be like a super upgraded room. It's going to be a larger square footage. They're going to have a balcony on there. So those are just your differences, right? I love Sarah's webinars. My baby does the same thing. Yeah, I bribe my kid with M&Ms when I do this kind of stuff because that's the only way I can do that. Could the price difference be due to an obstruction of the ocean view, like lifeboats are blocking? Yeah, Elizabeth. So sometimes too, the price difference could be like, because all the cruise ships, right, for the balconies, they have like those clear guards, right? Because you don't want anybody like going over the boat. Sometimes the sides of them might be like a little bit colored, so they don't have clear side views, stuff like that. Little stuff like that's always going to make a price difference, right? I think that is in the training. How do we know if we're going to be able to choose a room or it's always a random? Mert said that's going to be based off the rate code, right? So if I go back to the rate code, they will tell me, you know, whether or not they can do this. So guests must select stateroom accommodation type, meaning they're going to select what they want as far as the interior or ocean view. But it says here, but Carnival assigns the stateroom deck and location at a later time. So if your client wants to know that they're, you know, is saying, I want to be midship on this deck, and I want to know that I have that at the time of booking, then this fun saver rate quote is not going to be for them, right? So there you go. Okay, so let's get back to here. So is everybody feeling a little bit better about this page? Maybe it's not as overwhelming. I know definitely it was overwhelming for me. So does everybody feel a little bit better? Yes. Lacey's
Sorry,
good.
I missed it. Did you explain the category FJ6M?
Yeah, so they're all going to be different based off of, you know, like I said, it's kind of like the equivalent to land travel. You know, when you're booking somebody says they want an ocean view. Well, do they want a partial ocean view or a regular ocean view, right? So those are going to be different price points, but they're kind of in the same room type. So that's all this is. You know, what they actually call this, like FJ, 6M, 6L, those are just codes that they have to use internally to be able to kind of book it internally. But this right
So
here,
it doesn't mean like front of the boat versus back of the boat versus the middle.
It can, but this doesn't necessarily tell you that. You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It just, like, I would assume that these are going to be on a better deck, probably have a more main midship boat or a little bit of a front ship boat selection, stuff like that. So does that make kind of sense?
Yeah.
If it's 2 cabins and they want that, are they connected? You can request connecting staterooms, pal. And if you have something that's more specific in a booking like that, I always call Carnival and have them do it for me, right? So I make sure that they can get me rooms that are connected. And I have them do the work for me. Think smart, not hard, right? And that's thinking smart because they're doing all the work and I'm just sitting there on the phone telling them what I want and they're doing it for me. So, and you get paid. So, you know, if you choose a cabin or you get the one guaranteed, bow is front, stern is back. Yes. Okay. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and just select something here. More? Okay, geez. So I'm going to select this middle one and I'm just going to hit quick quote because I don't want to book anything, right? I just want to see what the quote is. Drink your water too, okay? Okay, I'm back. Okay, so you see up here, do you have to have your client's credit card info ready when you call them so they can pay it? No, Rosanna, that's a good question. So you can just do a quote with them. You will need to know like a date of birth of a client and their first and last name to hold the room. You can hold it for 48 hours. No harm, no foul. You don't have to collect any payment information. It's not going to mean that the client's committed to that room. But if you just want to secure that rate and know that your rate won't go up or down, that'll be the rate. So that way you have enough time to get back to your client for them to agree. And all of that, they can certainly hold that quote for you, okay? What do you do if you're booking a person with mental disabilities? I was told you have to book over the phone through Carnival. Yeah, Nick, that's something that, you know, is one of those special circumstances. I would definitely call Carnival and just, you know, see what they have, what they do, what their policy and procedure is and stuff like that. That's definitely something that you want to get your hand walked through by the vendor, right? And that's what they're there for. They're there to help us too. So definitely use them. Okay. Okay, so you see here, it breaks it down, right? So first, let me see. There's an agent view and a guest view. Does anybody know the difference in what the agent view and the guest view have? Does anybody know? If you don't, that's okay. But if you do, go ahead and put it in the chat box. The commission, yes. No. Okay, so there's two main differences in agent view versus guest view, okay? The first one being the agent view will go ahead and show you the commission, $414. Who wants to book this cruise and make $414, right? And so the guest view won't have that, right? They're not going to show what you're making. Also, the guest view is going to have the itinerary details. So when you send this to the guest, they will, when you send it via guest view, they will not see your commission, and they also will have the itinerary details. Okay, so those are the two differences in between the two views, which is always why you want to make sure if you're going to send it to your guest, you give them the guest view and not the agent view. Okay, everybody good on that? Yes. Okay, so if you see here, yes, cool. If you see here, it's going to break it down, right? Guest 1, guest 2, guest 3, guest 4, and the total. Okay. Two things that can be changed within this quote is Carnival vacation protection, aka travel insurance, and their abilities to pay gratuities within the quote. Now, the travel vacation protection can be added individually. The gratuities, either they all are going to pay it up front, or none of them are going to pay it up front. Okay, so you can hit remove. I always like, for my clients to go ahead and pay the gratuities up front. It's something that they don't have to worry about when they're at the boat. It allows them to break it up into payments, right? If they're booking out in advance, it's just nice. And travel protection, that's an easy sell now with the whole COVID thing. So I always add it for them. And if they don't want it, then they don't want it. But I always like to add vacation protection on anything that I do with my clients.
Sarah, how do we do that for the cruises?
How do you do what?
The insurance for the cruise lines. Is that a part of with the vendors?
Yeah, so right here on this third line, it says vacation protection.
Oh, okay.
You would either add it. So let's say guest 1 wanted it, and guest 3 wanted it. So you would just go to whoever wanted it, and it would be included into the price, right? Let's say none of them wanted it. You would just go ahead and remove that. Okay. And right here, it says Carnival's vacation protection provides your guests the coverage for trip and cancellations, interruptions for a variety of reasons. Vacation protection can be selected at the stateroom level. And if you guys want more complex, go ahead and click that, and it'll give you more complex details on that, okay?
Thank you.
Okay, these are good. Guests count as guests, or is there a different price for guests? Yeah, when you do, well, for Carnival, I'm sorry, I don't believe Carnival differentiates, but other cruise lines do. So it just depends on the cruise line, Caesar. Like I know like Royal Caribbean's really good about doing like half off for kids or stuff like that, right? Why are the prices of 3 and 4 persons lower? Typically, Maritza, they always like to do like a sale, right? So it's just their way of doing a sale. Like the first two, the third and first are BOGO, which is buy one, get one half off, right? So guest 1's full price, and guest 2's full price, and guest 3 and 4 are half off, right? Whatever the promo is, which is what that kind of looks like, right? Or actually maybe 75, 50 and 25% off.
Really quick, how do you email the quote to your client?
I will show you how to do that in just a second, because I just want to get through that, and then I'll show you, because you can do that, definitely. What does it mean non-commissionable cruise amount? So Norma, that's a good question. That just means that's part of the cruise line pricing, but you don't earn commission off this $159 per guest. So your commission totals are based off everything you see here minus the $159 per guest. Sarah, quick question. What is the initial payment for that quote? Good question. So when you scroll down here, you see the payment schedule. The deposit is $500 total. So if you split that up, $500 divided by 4, that's $125 per person for deposit, right? I always like to break stuff down like that. It always sounds nicer to the ear when you break it down in the lowest amount of possible. And you see here, the final due date is March 7th, 2021, meaning today. If all they had to do to lock down this cruise at this rate would be to give the $500 for the initial deposit, and then they pay the remainder, right? So it's 396 minus 500, so 396, 3926.28 minus 500. So that's 3426.28. They have until March 7th, 2021 to pay that. They can make payments how they want. There's no interest accrued on this, nothing, right? Now, to give you guys a little pointer, when you're booking something for a cruise, you always want to make sure, like if the final payment date is March 7th, I will tell my clients the final payment date is March 4th. Why do I do that? Because there may be something that goes wrong. What goes wrong? Maybe they give you their credit card information for their final payment and they mess up on the billing code, right? The billing zip code. Well, Carnival, if you put in the credit card information twice and it doesn't go through, it automatically locks that card out for 24 hours. So if you do that on March 7th and the card's locked out for 24 hours, you see what I'm saying? So you allow yourself that grace period just in case anything goes wrong. 99.9% of the time, nothing goes wrong, but you always want to be prepared for that 0.01% time, right? So that's just my little piece of advice that I've learned. It just makes things go a lot sweeter. Hold on. How comfortable is Marlene? You can go ahead and take yourself off mute if you want to.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Hi, everybody. And this is an excellent training. I love listening to it because I love booking Carnival. The other thing that I try to do with my clients when I take their deposit with their credit card, I ask them if this card is acceptable for final payment. And if they say yes, it's much easier because you can schedule final payment when you book. Carnival will take $1 out of that card in addition to the deposit, and then Carnival schedules the final payment, and then you just want to check on that day and make sure that it went through and everything is good. Just a little hint.
Thank you, Marlene.
You're welcome. Bye.
Marlene, just so you know, is like a massive cruise booker. So I'll take any of her tidbits any day.
Thanks, Sarah.
Yeah, no
Thanks.
problem. Okay, hold on. Let me go up here and see.
Sarah,
yes.
so what if they want to make payments as they go and not just do like the final payment at the end? Can they do that?
Yeah, so they're gonna do it through you anytime. Okay, hold on 1 second.
Here, I'll help Sarah out because she's going with her daughter. You can also make payments online at goccl.com, or you can call Carnival and give them the information and they'll run the payment for you. I just like, if they're willing to do final payment schedule, because then it's less work on the in-between. And then like Sarah was saying, whenever you have a due date, you want to tell them the date is sooner, like maybe 5 days sooner. So this way, if you can't get in touch with them or say they have to make a payment, whatever. So what Sarah's saying is definitely right. And you can call it in, or you can do it yourself on goccl.com.
Thank you, Marlene. All right. Somebody asked a question. How comfortable is to fit 4 people in one room? Elda, I always ask my client, how comfortable are you with the people that you're going with? If it's like a family, like, mom and dad and 2 kids, no problem. If there may be 2 couples, might be a little awkward at night, just saying. So, I might suggest splitting up in 2 rooms. But so, I've been on a Carnival cruise ship inspection. Me personally, I'm a little bougie, so I wouldn't do more than 2 per person. But there's plenty of people who do 4 to a cabin and have no problem with it. It's just the cabin rooms are smaller typically than a traditional hotel room. So just keep that in mind, right? Can we split the amount due and send them to Carnival or just the first payment? You never want to send your client to Carnival, right? So you're the travel agent, you're providing the service, you're going to take care of everything from A to B. That's why they're booking with you, right? So if they need to, you know, they can put different credit cards on, all of that, that's fine. You just need to go ahead and get with the client, get that all squared away, and then either call Carnival or do that payment online. Yes, we work with Disney Cruise Line. Elizabeth, we work with everybody. So yes, Disney Cruise Line is a vendor of ours. You can set up monthly installments. Yes, you can set up monthly installments. That's going to be through Uprise. I don't like to do that because that'll check a client's credit and add interest to it. I don't like that. The beauty of booking a cruise, there's payment plans initially already kind of built into how they do it, right? So you do the deposit and the final payment's due. They can do payments how they want in between. If they want to do monthly, that's fine. They're not obligated to. So long as the cruise is paid for in full by the final due date, okay? Yeah, Elizabeth, the cruise lines are very popular. All right, let me just make sure. What if somebody wants to book but have a reward point system? Yeah, Jennifer, you can book with their VIFP number. You do that at the very beginning. You can add that in there in the booking portal. Is there a section for just payments on there? Yeah, when you book the cruise, there's a way for you to get into the reservation and start making those payments, okay? All right, so does anyone have any more questions about this? Now, let's say you want to email this. You're going to hit guest view. Always make sure you're on guest view. Enter in the email address and then a quick note that you want to send to your client. Now, you can do this one or two ways, right? I have a lot of people that want to brand themselves as travel agents. So they will take this and put it on their own template, right? So it comes from, for example, my travel agency is called Never Ending Travels. I have a quote template. I would put it all on there. And so the quote my client will receive would be from Never Ending Travels, right? Because you are the vendor essentially when they're shopping with you, right? You are the person that they're booking through. So I always like to take the middleman kind of out. Yes, obviously they know that they're shopping with Carnival Cruise Lines, right? That's a cruise that they're going to. But you guys always want to work on branding yourselves, and that's a completely different training. But that's just my tidbit. That way, you know, it always looks like it's coming straight from you. So just some tidbits for you. So you don't let the clients go on site and finalize their booking. No. I do everything for my clients. If they want luggage tags print out, I do that for them. That is my job as a travel agent, to take care of everything for them. I am providing a service for them, right? So you can go ahead and email that quote. I don't actually have like a per se email template that I use. I kind of make one up as I go. Just because I changed my business name and I'm in the middle of designing a new logo. So that's that. Oops, where did it go? Okay. So that's that. That's how you would email it. Okay. And you guys always want to write down the commission that you're making, because you're going to go ahead and put that on your commission tracking form. Okay. All right. Does anybody have any questions? Let's say you were good with the quote. And your client, you know, your client wanted to book. So you would just hit select and you would hit continue. And you would actually go to the part where you're going to start entering people's information, right? Well, first you're going to pick the stateroom. So you see out of all of this, the front of the boat, this is a room that's available, right? So you can hit front, middle, and I apply filters. Nope. So it must be only that the front's available. So let's say I would go ahead and select the stateroom, select stateroom, and I'm going to go ahead and continue, right? Oh, and here's a section if you wanted connecting staterooms and stuff like that. Can you share where's the commission tracking form is going to be on your travel site. And there's actually a video inside of Rising Tide 3 that shows you where that form is. Where anything in this quote besides that they need to take care of here on the boat. Yeah, so we got shore excursions, we have drinks, stuff like that. That's all taken care of after the booking, right? So I'm just gonna go ahead for the sake of time because we're running at just about an hour here. So this is where you would start entering the guest information. Again, if they have that VIFP number that allows them additional discounts, you're gonna go ahead and enter it here. And then you're just gonna enter all their name just like you would for any other booking. You would see if they want to add the travel protection or the gratuities, right? And then you would continue on to next guest, next guest, next guest. There's 4 guests, so you would do this for each guest, right? And then it would prompt you a page to where you take the payment, and then you know, you're able to get the confirmation number sent to you via email, and off you go. Okay, guys? Do you guys have any questions about that? You get your commission before final payment. You always get the commission for cruise lines, final payment and or time of sailing, depending on whether or not they got travel insurance. Do you get commissions on drink packages with excursions? So here is a big pointer that I've learned that I do when I book shore excursions, guys. Okay, if you want to earn commission on your shore excursions, do not go through Carnival to book your excursions. Does anybody know where to book shore excursions for any cruise line and earn commissions? If you do, put it in the chat box. And if you don't,
Isn't there a Shore Excursions vendor on?
Yes, who said that? Was that Sarah?
Yeah.
Yes, good job, Sarah. Okay, so I'm gonna type it in the chat box. It is Shore Excursions. Okay, so where is that and how do you find that? Just like any vendor, you're gonna go log into your back office. And you're gonna go down to My Travel Cafe. I'm just listening. I'm just cruises. So supplier info, cruises. Okay, and so shore excursions, you don't need to register with them. When you go through it this way, it'll automatically link you as an Archer Travel agent. And so you're able to book any shore excursions for any cruise line, any cruise sailing, anything. This is a vendor that you could use for any cruise line. It's not specific to just Carnival. So if you're doing Royal Caribbean, if you're doing Norwegian, if you're doing Princess, Carnival, you are able to go to this vendor and book their shore excursions to go ahead and make commission. And of course, Travel Cafe always runs a little slow, so that's okay.
I have a question on that.
Yeah.
Will the cruise ship itself be aware of those excursions, and are they covered, like if that excursion comes back late, like they do on the cruises?
Yes, the cruise line will know, and I would assume so. If anybody has more experience with that, go ahead and answer that.
Hey, Sarah.
Yeah.
The Carnival, the cruise lines have no obligation to cruisers that book excursions that is not through them. When you book it through them, if the excursion is running late or they have to get off the ship early, the cruise line will make it. If you book it on your own, you're on your own, and there have been people that have cut it too close and they see their ship leaving without them. So you have to be really careful and warn the people and plan for a lot of extra time so that wouldn't happen.
There you go. Thank you, Marlene.
You're welcome.
I should have done a co-training with Marlene for this. Okay, so you're gonna go here, click on the link. And then here you go. Just tells me everything. Okay, close. So for example, my cruise line was Carnival. My ship was the Carnival Panorama. It's up here. Where is my Carnival Panorama? And my sale date was June 5th, 2001. June 5th. June 5th, 2001. 7 nights search. So now it's going to bring up the Shore Excursions, right? Here we go. So you see, this is all the stuff you can go ahead and book them for, okay? So that's that. That's where you would go ahead to book and make commissions. Now, you know, if you want to go ahead and book it through Carnival Cruise Line, you can go ahead and do that. What I've had agents do before in the past is add like a non-refundable refundable excursion deposit to make some upfront commissions that way, and they charge, you know, $5 or $10, whatever the commission is going to be, right? That's all at your own discretion. You're more than welcome to do that. But that's how you, this is where you want to go if you want to make commission and do excursions. Okay, guys? Does everybody got that? Yes, yes, yes. Now I'm going to show you guys where to go ahead, where you guys would go and make a payment. I don't have anybody booking. I may have somebody booking Carnival, but I don't have any existing cruise line reservations, so I can't actually show you a reservation. I will go ahead and kind of show you where you go, and that way you guys are a little bit familiar, right? So you booked the room, your client made the deposit, now your client called you a month later and they're ready to make a payment. Where do you go? You're going to log into goccl.com. You're going to go down here to manage booking. You're going to hit individual, group, or stateroom. Right here, it's going to prompt you to do a booking number and or the last name, first name of the guest, right? This was somebody that I had to actually, their trip got canceled because of COVID. See, it won't let me go back to it. So I can't look this up. So what you would do is you would do a search the reservation search, and it would pull up all their information, and then you'd be able to go ahead and enter the payment information on GoCCL and do the payment that way. You are also able to go ahead and call GoCCL Carnival to go ahead and do the payment that way as well. Does that make sense for everybody? And I am going to show you where to do a commission tracking form, just because I think that's really important that you guys know where to do that. So anytime you book something, guys, you finish, let's say I wrote down the cruise commission, it was going to be $414 for that cruise and some change. I'm going to go to my travel site. Okay, I'm going to go to login on the upper right hand corner. I'm going to enter in my stuff. Lord knows I have like 4 different accounts, so I don't know if this will bring up the right password. Here we go. Okay. And I'm going to go to commission tracking form. Here we go. I booked a cruise. So you're going to enter in all the information it's asking you for. Okay. Once you're done doing that, you're going to go ahead and submit it, and then that's it. That's how Archer gets your commission. That's how they track it. So that way when Carnival pays Archer, they link it to your commission tracking form and they know how to pay you in return. Alrighty, guys. Does that make sense? Any last minute questions? We got 33 people on. You guys are amazing. You guys chose to plug in. You guys chose to take your business seriously. That is awesome. Now the last step, right, is always going to be apply it. Go put out some mock bookings out there. Go do some quotes. Go play with Carnival's booking portal. Go get their training done. Earn your certificate. You know, have at it, right? So thank you guys so much. If there's any last minute questions, go ahead and put them in the chat box. If not, we're gonna go ahead and end this training. I am so happy that you guys were able to hop on board and go ahead and earn some tidbits. The extras like drink or excursions is after the reservation. Yes, Maritza, it's gonna be after the reservation. You're going to book that afterwards, okay? Alrighty. So if y'all are finished, or if y'all don't have any questions, I'm gonna go ahead and end this meeting. You guys are feel free to hop on to some other trainings today and continue to learn, because learning is earning. Okay, guys? Have a great day. Love you guys from your 1-star platinum Sarah Rogers. Bye. Oh my goodness. If I could ever end this meeting, right? How much? Okay, here we go.